Hey, growth group leaders. I want to welcome you guys to our 5 minutes of faith. Just want to encourage you guys just for a moment. First of all, all of our groups have started. We had a tremendous sign up. I know whether you've got 10 people in your group, whether you have 5 people in your group, it does not matter. Our heart is that you would be faithful with whoever God placed in your group. Guys, just a couple of reminders before we get into a leadership principle that I want to give you guys today. First off, please make sure that you email, that you text, that you Facebook, however you can best communicate to your group about reminding them about your meeting. One of the things as a growth group leader you have to make sure of is that you weekly remind the people in your group that you're meeting this date on this time. I know sometimes that can be frustrating, but as a growth group leader, we have to make sure that we do that because people have very busy schedules. And you can even in that email reminder, that Facebook reminder, that text, whatever it may be, you can also just remind them maybe what y'all talked about last week or what you're going to talk about the week before. Also, as a growth group leader, remember that your job is to facilitate the meeting. Your job is not to give a lecture, not to give a sermon. But your job as a growth group leader is to facilitate the meeting. What I mean when I say that is that your responsibility is to get the people in your group all talking about, the particular topic that you're talking about in that group on that day. And so don't feel like you have to carry the entire burden of, being the great speaker, being the great preacher. Your responsibility is to make sure that everybody is talking about the subject or the topic for that group. Guys, as we continue to talk here, one of the things that I always want to encourage you guys with today is this leadership principle. As a growth group leader, you want to lead your group like you're leaving. We like to say here at Bethel that we want to lead as leaving or leading as leaving. What that means is that as a growth group leader that you are constantly looking for in your group, asking God, who is the person in this group that could one day be a growth group leader? Who has the gifting, who has the grace on their life to one day lead a growth group? And God will show you that person. And what you begin to do is you begin to put weight on that person. For instance, you can get them to help you do things where you don't have to carry all the responsibility. Get them to do the email reminder. Get them to text the group particular things that you just want to encourage them with. Whatever it may be, just begin to put weight on them. Maybe even in the group, give them opportunity to maybe lead the prayer time or lead the warm-up section of the group where they, you have a particular question you'd like to ask, or maybe even where you work it out to say, when we begin to talk about this, whether maybe you're talking about prayer, we begin to talk about this part in our topic today. You say, I want you to share on that. And so that way you are leading as leaving, where you are raising up a leader knowing that, one day this person is going to also be a growth group leader. As we look at our Bible, we find that even in 2 Timothy 2:2. Paul, he was smart. Paul understood that his call was to make disciples, that one day Paul was going to be gone, and he knew that I have to lead as leaving. And he did that with his spiritual son, Timothy. And he actually wrote to Timothy in 2 Timothy 2:2. He said this, he said, "The things which you have heard from me in the presence of many witnesses, entrust these to faithful men who will be able to teach others also." So here's, the Apostle Paul, great man of God, great Bible teacher. But he knew that one day I'm not going to be here. He knew everything that God is showing me, man, I'm going to plant in my son Timothy. And Timothy, I want you to go do what I've done in you. The foundations I've laid in you, the biblical truths that I've laid in you, I want you to go and teach other men also, that they may go and teach other men. And so as a growth group leader, this is how we have to think. I'm leading as leaving. I'm trying to replace myself as a growth group leader. Think about if you did that. Every year we have 2 growth group semesters. Think about each semester, if you found in the spring semester and the fall semester as a growth group leader, and you found just one person to sow into. Yes, you got many people in your group, but that one person that you see the grace on, you see the gifting in them, that you can begin to pour yourself into. Man, that's 2 leaders a year that you are raising up as a growth group leader that are going to lead others, just as 2 Timothy 2:2 says. And so, guys, I'm really hoping that encourages you guys, because so many times we can be afraid to release responsibility. So many times we can be afraid to let go, in a sense, of the weight, responsibility that God has given us as a growth group leader. But I promise you, as you do that, man, you will see tremendous fruit come from your group. And it really helps us as Bethel Community Church really develop the leaders that it's going to take to reach our city. Guys, last thing is that, every growth group semester ends with a victory weekend. And so as a pastoral team, we're going to be talking that up on Sunday morning, giving announcements, saying things about it in our messages. And so as a growth group leader, make sure that you're talking it up at your growth group. We're really believing for a great victory weekend. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of the week and see you on Sunday.